Welcome to Drowseworthy, where we leave the noise of the modern world behind to find rest in the quiet corners of the past. Tonight, we are trading the cold rain of northern Europe for the eternal, golden warmth of the southern sun. We are traveling back 5,000 years to the banks of the longest river in the world, the lifeline of ancient Egypt. This is not the Egypt of dramatic battles, chariots, or curses, but rather a land of gentle rhythms and predictable cycles. We are here to drift on the water, to feel the cool mud between our toes, and to listen to the wind rustling through the papyrus reeds. This is a story about the slow pulse of a civilization that lasted for 3 millennia, built on the simple certainty that the sun will rise and the river will flow. So, take a moment to prepare yourself for this long, slow journey down the Nile. Dim the lights in your room until the space feels warm and soft, like the twilight of the desert. Adjust your pillows and imagine you are lying on a daybed made of fragrant cedar wood and woven palm fronds. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears and let the tension of the day evaporate like mist in the morning sun. You are safe here, floating on the current of history, suspended in a time before clocks and deadlines. You are warm, you are timeless, and you are ready to sleep. Let us begin by closing our eyes and listening to the sound of the water lapping against the hull. It is a gentle, rhythmic sound, the water hitting the wooden planks of our felucca with a soft, repetitive slap. You are lying on the deck of this traditional sailboat, feeling the gentle sway as it moves through the current. Above you, a large triangular sail catches the north wind, snapping softly as it fills with the warm breeze. It is made of white linen, woven by hand, and it glows like a cloud against the deep blue of the sky. The boat is moving south against the current, or perhaps drifting north with the flow. The destination does not matter, only the motion. You trail your hand in the water, feeling the cool, silky resistance of the river against your skin. This is the Nile, or as the ancients called it, the Pharaoh, which simply means the river. It is the blood of the land, the source of all life, and the clock by which this civilization sets its time. To understand Egypt, you must understand the water, for in the ancient world, the Nile was a living beast that breathed and changed. The entire civilization was tuned to its rhythm, rising and falling with the level of the water in a cycle that never failed. There were 3 seasons in their calendar, and they were all defined by the river: the inundation, the emergence, and the harvest. Let us travel back to the season of Akit, the time of the inundation, which begins in mid-July. Far away in the highlands of Ethiopia, the summer monsoon rains have fallen, swelling the tributaries of the Blue Nile with a massive volume of water. This water travels thousands of miles north, gathering rich volcanic silt and minerals along the way, turning the river into a carrier of life. When it reaches Egypt, the river begins to rise, not as a destructive tidal wave, but as a slow, majestic swelling that takes weeks to complete. Day by day, the water creeps up the banks, swallowing the dry land inch by inch in a silent conquest. Yesterday, the water was at the level of the white limestone rocks. Today, it touches the gnarled roots of the acacia tree. Tomorrow, those roots will be submerged. The Egyptians watched this annual miracle with deep reverence, using stone staircases called millimeters to measure the height of the flood. They knew that a good Nile meant prosperity, covering the fields with water without destroying the villages built on high ground. The water spills over the banks and transforms the valley into a vast, shallow lake, turning the towns into islands connected by causeways. It is a quiet time for the people, as the farmers cannot work the submerged fields, and the land is given a time to rest. Imagine the color of the water changing as the flood arrives, shifting from the green of the swamp to a deep reddish brown. It is the color of chocolate, heavy with the black gold of the silt that will renew the fertility of the soil for another year. This dark, rich soil is why the Egyptians called their land Kemet, or the Black Land, distinguishing it from the sterile red land of the desert. The Black Land meant life, food, and safety, while the Red Land meant death, chaos, and the unknown. You are safe here in the Black Land, floating on your boat, looking out over the mirror-like surface of the flooded plain. The sun reflects off the water, creating a blinding, shimmering sheet of silver that stretches to the horizon. You see a flock of white ibis birds taking flight, their wings stark and bright against the deep azure of the sky. A hippopotamus submerges nearby with a heavy sigh, sending a stream of bubbles rising to the surface to break the stillness. You feel the heat of the sun on your skin, the presence of the god Ra traveling his daily path in his golden bark. It is hot, but the breeze coming off the cool water makes it comfortable, a gentle warmth that seeps into your bones. Before we drift further, I want to welcome you aboard our boat here at Drowseworthy, a sanctuary for those who need to slow down. We believe that history doesn't always have to be about dates and battles. Sometimes it can just be about the feeling of the sun and the mud. Thank you for being part of this community, helping us build a quiet corner of the internet where we can all rest. If you are enjoying this drift down the Nile, please consider subscribing to help us keep the boat afloat and the stories coming. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Where are you drifting from tonight, and what topic should we explore next? Perhaps the tea houses of Kyoto, the spice markets of Istanbul, or the quiet forests of the Pacific Northwest. But for now, let us return to the river as the floodwaters begin to recede and the season of Akit comes to an end. The season of Perfume, the emergence, is beginning, and the water draws back to reveal the land underneath. It is not the dry, dusty land it was before, but a landscape covered in a thick layer of fresh, wet, black mud. Mud sounds dirty to the modern ear, but to the ancient Egyptians, it was the holy substance of creation itself. The god Koam was said to have molded the first humans out of river clay on a potter's wheel, giving life to the very soil. Let us explore the tactile nature of this mud, stepping off the boat and sinking our bare feet into the riverbank. It is soft and cool, squelching softly between your toes as you walk, holding the moisture of the retreating river. It is smooth, free of rocks and pebbles, a fine silt that feels like flour or velvet against the skin. It smells of earth, a rich, fertile, compost scent that speaks of potential and growth. This mud is the foundation of everything in Egypt. It grows the food that feeds the people, and it builds the houses that shelter them. Let us watch a farmer building his home, for in a land without timber or stone for commoners, the earth itself provides the walls. He mixes the black mud with sand from the desert edge and chops straw from the previous harvest. The straw acts as a binder, strengthening the mud and stopping it from cracking as it dries in the fierce sun. He mixes the ingredients with his feet, treading the mud in a rhythmic dance, up and down, blending the earth. He packs the mixture into a simple rectangular wooden mold, striking off the top to make it level and smooth. He lifts the mold, leaving a perfect, wet brick sitting on the ground to begin its curing process. He makes another and another, until rows of wet bricks are lined up like soldiers, drying in the open air. The sun acts as the kiln, baking the bricks hard as rock in just a few days, ready to be stacked into walls. He builds his house by stacking the bricks and plastering them with more wet mud to seal the gaps. The walls are thick and dense, keeping the interior cool during the blazing heat of the day and warm during the chill of the night. Imagine sitting inside one of these mud brick houses, protected from the glare of the sun by the earth itself. It is dim inside, lit only by small slit windows designed to keep the heat out and the privacy in. The floor is packed earth, swept clean every morning, cool and solid underfoot. The walls are whitewashed with lime to reflect the small amount of light, creating a soft, glowing atmosphere. It smells of dust and baking bread, a simple, grounded scent of domestic life that has remained unchanged for thousands of years. You are literally living inside the earth, held by the soil that feeds you, in a cycle of perfect sustainability. Now, let us look at the farming, as the water has receded enough to leave the fields wet and ready for planting. The farmer does not need a heavy plough to break this soil. It is soft, yielding, and incredibly fertile. He walks out with a bag of seed slung over his shoulder, carrying the future harvest of emmer wheat or barley. He scatters the seeds by hand, using a wide, sweeping motion of his arm that spreads the grain evenly across the mud. Swish, swish, the seeds fall onto the damp earth, settling into the silt that will nourish them. Then he drives a herd of sheep or pigs across the field, their sharp little hooves pushing the seeds down into the soil to protect them from birds. It is gentle farming, a cooperation with the river rather than a battle against the land. But the water does not stay forever. The sun is relentless, and the ground begins to dry as the weeks pass. To keep the crops alive, the water must be lifted from the river and brought to the fields. This brings us to the most hypnotic sound of the Egyptian countryside, the rhythmic creaking of the shadoof. This ancient water-lifting device is a simple machine, a vertical post with a long horizontal pole balanced on a pivot. On one end of the pole is a heavy lump of clay or stone serving as a counterweight. On the other hangs a rope with a bucket. The farmer pulls the rope down, dipping the leather bucket into the river until it fills with water. Splash. He lets go, and the heavy counterweight pulls the pole down, lifting the full bucket up effortlessly. He swings the pole sideways and pours the water into an irrigation ditch, sending life into the field. Dip, lift, pour. Imagine doing this for hours, finding a trance-like state in the repetition of the movement. It is a motion that requires no thought, allowing the mind to wander while the body performs its duty. The creak of the wooden pivot, the splash of the water, the thud of the counterweight is the heartbeat of the fields. Thousands of shadoofs work in unison all along the river, lifting the Nile and pouring it onto the land. They turn the brown strip of desert into a vibrant green ribbon of life, defying the arid climate. Listen to the rhythm in your mind. Creak, splash, creak, splash. It is a soothing, repetitive cycle, like the rhythm of your own breathing. In, out, up, down. You are watching the farmer from the deck of your boat, seeing him as a silhouette against the setting sun. He is timeless, performing the same task his ancestors did and his descendants will do. He is not worried about the Pharaoh or the pyramids. He is only concerned with the water and the seed. Let us move away from the fields now and drift closer to the water's edge, toward the tall green wall of the reeds. The banks of the Nile are lined with thickets of papyrus, a plant that defines the landscape of the delta. It is tall and elegant, with a triangular stem as thick as a wrist and a starburst of green threads at the top. The papyrus thickets are dense, growing 10 feet tall and acting as a barrier between the open river and the solid land. You drift close to the reeds in your boat, listening to the sound of the wind moving through them. Rustle, she, rustle, ... It is a dry, whispering sound, like thousands of people murmuring quiet secrets to one another. The reeds sway together in waves, a sea of green heads nodding in the breeze, hypnotic to watch. This plant is the source of Egypt's greatest invention, the tool that allowed them to conquer time: paper. The word paper comes from papyrus, and making it is another slow, tactile craft perfect for calming the mind. A craftsman wades into the shallows, where the water is up to his knees, selecting the thickest, strongest stalks. He cuts them with a sharp knife's nick and gathers a bundle to carry back to his workshop. He sits on the ground, surrounded by the smell of the fresh, green plant, and begins his work. He cuts the stalk to the desired length of the page and peels away the tough green outer rind in strips. Underneath lies the white pith, the heart of the plant, which he slices into thin, flat strips. These strips are sticky to the touch, full of a natural sugary sap that will act as the glue. He lays the strips on a hard stone table, placing them side by side, vertically, so they are just touching. Then he lays a second layer on top, horizontally, crossing the first layer to create a grid. It looks like a woven mat, but it is not woven. It is simply layered, waiting to be bonded. Now comes the noise of the workshop. He takes a wooden mallet and begins to beat the papyrus. Thump, thump, thump. He beats it gently but firmly, breaking down the fibers and releasing the sticky sap. He beats it until the two layers fuse into a single sheet, bonded by the plant's own chemistry. Then he uses a smooth stone to rub the sheet flat, polishing the fibers until they are seamless. He places a heavy stone weight on top and leaves it to dry in the sun for several days. When it comes out, it is a sheet of paper, light, flexible, strong, and glowing with a pale golden yellow color. If you hold it up to the light, you can see the grid pattern of the fibers, a memory of how it was made. This is the blank canvas of history, ready to receive the ink of the scribe. Think of the texture of a fresh sheet of papyrus, slightly rough, but smooth enough for a reed pen to glide over. It smells of dried grass and the river, a scent that brings the outdoors into the library. It creates a satisfying crinkling sound when you roll it crinkle, snap storing knowledge in scrolls. But right now, it is just a plant swaying in the wind, alive and green on the riverbank. The sun is beginning to set, and the light in Egypt changes rapidly from the white glare of noon to the gold of dusk. During the day, the sun is a bleaching force, washing out colors, but now the world becomes saturated and rich. The limestone cliffs in the distance turn shades of pink and violet, glowing against the darkening sky. The river turns a deep, metallic blue, reflecting the first hints of the twilight. The palm trees turn into black silhouettes, their fronds etched sharply against the horizon. The heat of the day begins to lift, replaced by a cool, refreshing breeze coming off the desert sands. You are lying on the deck of the felucca, and the sail hangs limp as the wind dies down for the evening. The boatmen take out the heavy wooden oars to guide the boat to the bank. Splash, creak, splash, creak. The rhythmic sound of rowing lulls you deeper into relaxation. You are drifting past a village, smelling the smoke of cooking fires, burning dried dung or acacia wood. It is a pungent, earthy smell, mixing with the scent of onions, frying and bread baking in clay ovens. You can hear the sounds of the evening life: a dog barking in the distance, a donkey braying, children laughing. It is a scene of total peace, a snapshot of a life that has continued for millennia. The boat bumps gently against the shore thumpen, The sailors jump out to tie the rope to a palm tree. The boat is secure, held fast against the current, a safe island for the night. You are not going to get off. You are going to sleep on the deck under the open sky. The air is warm and dry, and the breeze keeps the mosquitoes away, leaving only the comfort of the night. You look up as the sky turns from blue to purple, and the first star appears, diamond bright. It is Sirius, the dog star, the star of Isis, whose rising signals the new year and the flood. You lie back on the cushions, feeling the gentle rocking of the boat as the river flows beneath you. It is a massive, silent volume of water, carrying the silt, the history, and the time of Egypt. You are floating on top of it, supported and drifting, held by the ancient currents. Let us think about the structure of the Egyptian day, which is a mirror of the human life cycle. It begins with Khepri, the rising sun, the scarab beetle pushing the ball of light over the horizon. It peaks at noon with Ra, the powerful sun god in his strength, ruling the sky. It sets in the west as Atum, the old man, weary from his journey across the heavens. Then it enters the Duat, the underworld, for a night journey through darkness and challenge. But the sun always emerges in the morning, reborn and renewed, defeating the dark. The Egyptians were obsessed with rebirth, not in a fearful way, but in a comforting, cyclical way. They believed that nothing ever truly ends. The sun sets but rises, the river falls but floods. You sleep, but you wake again. It is a circle that cannot be broken. You are part of that circle, and you don't have to worry about tomorrow, for it is already written in the stars. You just have to rest, like the field waiting for the flood, or the seed waiting in the mud. Let your breathing mimic the river, a slow, steady flow that never hurries. Inhale, filling the lungs like the flood fills the valley with life. Exhale, receding, relaxing, letting go of the tension, returning to the source. In, rising, out, falling. You are heavy, made of the same black earth that builds the houses and grows the grain. You are sinking into the deck of the boat, grounded and secure. The water is lapping against the wood lap, the most soothing sound in the world. It says, I am here, I am moving. You can stop. Imagine the map of the Nile in your mind, a long, winding blue line tracing through the yellow desert. From the mountains of Africa to the Mediterranean Sea, it is a lifeline of water in a dry land. You are a tiny speck on that blue line, drifting slowly northwards, past the temples and the tombs. There is no rush, for you have all night, and you have all of history to keep you company. The stars are coming out now, millions of them, piercing the clear desert air. The Milky Way looks like a river of milk spilled across the sky, which the Egyptians called the celestial Nile. So you are floating between two rivers, the river of water below you and the river of stars above you. You are suspended in the middle, safe, warm, and peaceful. Let the image of the papyrus reeds fill your mind again. Green, tall, swaying walls. They block out the world, creating a fortress of silence around your boat. You are hidden in the reeds, like a baby in a basket, protected from the current and the wind. The current is gentle, rocking the boat with a soothing, repetitive motion. Rock, rock, drift, drift. The inundation is over, the work is done, and the mud is settling. Wait. Let us stay on the river a little longer and expand our awareness to the creatures of the night. In the shallows, the crocodile is resting, half submerged in the cooling mud. He is so big a god and a monster, but tonight he is simply sleeping. His eyes are closed, his heavy tail is still, and he is grounded and ancient. He has not changed for millions of years, representing the ultimate patience. He has the ability to lie still in the sun and in the dark, just waiting, just being. Can you find that stillness in yourself? The stillness of the crocodile, heavy on the bank, and the birds, the heron, the Bennu bird standing on one leg in the shallows. It stands perfectly still, watching the water, its feathers grey and blue in the moonlight. It tucks its head under its wing, trusting its balance completely as it sleeps standing up. You are balanced too, suspended between waking and sleeping, trusting the process of rest. You can tuck your head in, close your eyes, and let the world fade away. Think about the lotus flower, the blue lotus that floats on the surface of the water. During the day, it opens its bright blue petals to the sun, revealing a golden center. But at night, it closes. The petals fold up tight, and it sinks slightly beneath the surface. It retreats, going underwater to sleep, protected by the river. You are a lotus flower, and your day is done. You are closing your petals, sinking beneath the surface, down into the cool, dark water. Away from the light, away from the heat, down into the quiet where nothing disturbs you. The water supports you, holding you up so you are weightless, suspended in the fluid of sleep. Think about the sand dunes of the Red Land, miles and miles of golden hills rolling like waves. The wind shapes them whoosh, S-S-S-H-H-H, moving the grains of sand one by one. It reshapes the desert every night in a slow, endless process that erases all tracks. The desert is silent, empty, and clean, vast and open under the stars. Let your mind be like the desert, empty, open, and quiet. Let the wind of sleep blow through your thoughts, smoothing out the footprints of the day, smoothing out the worries, leaving only the clean, smooth sand of your mind. Peaceful, still, eternal. Sleep now. Sleep with the river. Sleep with the desert. Sleep with the stars. Sleep, the scribes, the ink, and the dust of administration. We leave the riverbank now, stepping away from the gentle lapping of the water and the swaying of the green reeds, turning our backs on the wildness of the natural world. We are walking inland, away from the wet mud of the fields, moving toward the high, white limestone walls of the temple complex that shimmer in the midday heat. The air changes here. It becomes drier, stilled by the massive walls, and filled with the scent of old stone, baking sand, and the faint, sweet smoke of burning incense. We are entering the world of the Scribe, the silent engine that kept the massive, slow-moving machinery of ancient Egypt running for 3,000 years without interruption. While the farmers toil in the sun, the scribe sits in the cool, deep shade of the columned hall, his legs crossed under him, his wooden pallet resting comfortably on his knees. He is the keeper of the lists, the counter of the grain, the measurer of the land, and the guardian of the written word, ensuring that nothing is ever lost or forgotten. Let us step into his office, known as the Parank, the House of Life, a sacred library where the scrolls are stored and the history of the kingdom is written down. It is a large, cavernous room with a high ceiling, supported by massive stone columns painted with green and blue pigments to look like bundles of lotus flowers reaching for the sky. The light here is dim and restful, filtering in through small clerestory windows high up near the roof, catching the millions of dust motes dancing slowly in the still air. It is quiet here, a profound, dusty silence that is only broken by the soft scratching of reed pens on papyrus and the occasional shuffle of a sandal on stone. Imagine the temperature contrast. Outside, the sun is blazing, baking the desert sand to a burning heat, but in here, the thick limestone walls hold the cool of the previous night. You can feel the coolness radiating from the stone floor, seeping through the soles of your leather sandals, grounding you in the solid, permanent earth of the temple. Let us observe the scribe at his work. He is a man of discipline and routine, sitting in the traditional posture that has not changed for centuries of artistic depiction. His white linen kilt is pulled tight across his knees to form a stable desk. His back is perfectly straight against the column, and his expression is one of total, unwavering focus. He does not need a table or a chair. His body is his workspace, a self-contained unit of administration and order that can function anywhere in the kingdom. He holds his tools with deep reverence, for they are the symbols of his trade, the holy instruments of Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom and writing. Look closely at his palette. It is a long, rectangular piece of polished wood, smoothed by years of handling and darkened by the oil from his hands. It has two circular depressions carved at the top, like the wide eyes of a statue holding the cakes of solid ink that are the source of his power. One cake is black, and one cake is red. The duality of the Egyptian world captured in two simple pigments, waiting to be brought to life by water. Let us focus on the black ink, for making it is a slow, meditative process that the scribe must perform with care before he writes a single word. The black comes from carbon, the most basic element of life, harvested from the soot scraped from baking ovens or the charred remains of burnt acacia wood. The scribe scrapes the fine, airy black powder from the inside of the oven walls, gathering the ghosts of yesterday's cooking fires into a small pile. He takes this fine powder and places it on a flat, grinding stone, moving carefully so as not to let a single grain blow away in the breeze. He mixes this soot with a binder, usually gum arabic, the crystallized, amber-colored sap of the acacia tree that grows in the dry wadis of the desert. He adds a few drops of water and begins to grind them together on the stone slab, a slow, circular motion that requires patience and rhythm. Grind, grind. The pestle moves over the stone, crushing the carbon into the gum, merging them into a thick, uniform paste. The mixture must be perfect. If it is too thick, it will clump on the brush. If it is too thin, it will run on the precious papyrus and ruin the scroll. He grinds until the paste is smooth and uniform, a deep, midnight black that absorbs the light and promises permanence. He shapes the paste into small, round cakes and lets them dry in the sun, creating a solid block of potential words that will sit in his palette for weeks. When he is ready to write, he dips a small brush into a ceramic water pot and rubs it gently against the dry cake of ink. It dissolves instantly, turning into a rich, dark liquid that flows smoothly, a permanent and bold pigment that will last for millennia. Now, let us look at the red ink used for headings, important dates, and to mark dangerous words that might hold magical power if written in black. The red comes from the desert, from red ochre, an iron-rich earth that is dug from the ground and stains the fingers like dried blood. It is ground down in the same meticulous way, mixed with gum and water and dried into cakes. Sitting alongside the black on the wooden pallet, the scribe moves between them effortlessly. Dip in water, rub on black, write, clean the brush. Dip in water, rub on red, write. It is a rhythmic dance of the hand, a micro-movement that he repeats thousands of times a day, a ritual of creation and recording. Now consider the pen itself. It is not a feather quill like the medieval monks used, nor is it a manufactured metal nib. It is a reed, Juncus maradimus, the sea rush that grows wild in the salt marcias of the delta, harvested by the bundle. The scribe selects a strong, straight stem, cutting it to the length of his forearm, feeling the fibrous, organic texture of the plant. He does not cut the tip into a point with a knife. Instead, he uses a more intimate, personal method to prepare his tool. He chews the end of the reed. He chews it gently, breaking the fibers with his teeth until the tip becomes a soft, stiff brush. This brush allows him to paint the symbols, to make the thick downstrokes and the thin upstrokes of the hieroglyphs with a painterly touch. It is a tool that connects him directly to nature. He is writing with the riverbank itself, translating the plant into language. Listen to the sound of the reed brush moving across the textured surface of the papyrus scroll in the quiet hall. She. It is a dry, whispering sound, like the wind passing over the dunes, or dry leaves skittering across stone. It is the sound of bureaucracy, the sound of memory being preserved, the sound of order being imposed on the chaos of the world. What is he writing? He is not writing poetry. He is not writing myths about the gods. He is writing lists. Ancient Egypt was a civilization obsessed with lists, with counting, with organizing the chaos of the world into neat, orderly columns. Let us look over his shoulder at the scroll resting on his knees, seeing the columns of black ink marching down the yellow page. He is counting the harvest. He is turning the physical wealth of the land into abstract numbers that can be stored and tracked. Item: 100 sacks of EMR wheat delivered from the estate of the south, inspected and sealed. Item: 50 jars of barley beer, sealed with mud caps and stamped with the official seal of the brewer. Item: 20 crates of dried figs, gathered from the oasis and packed in palm leaves. Item: 12 fat geese for the temple offering, their feathers white and clean, their feet bound with cord. He writes the numbers. The symbol for 10 is a hobble for cattle. The symbol for 100 is a coil of rope. The symbol for 1000 is a lotus flower. He draws the coils of rope, one after another, creating a visual representation of wealth and abundance that fills the page. There is a deep comfort in this accounting, a sense that everything is accounted for, everything is in its place, and nothing is missing. The Egyptians called this math, the concept of truth, balance, order, and justice, the fundamental law of the universe. By counting the grain, the scribe is maintaining math. He is ensuring that the universe remains stable, predictable, and funded. If the lists are correct, the sun will rise. If the taxes are paid, the river will flow. The scribe anchors the cosmos with his ink. Imagine the hypnotic nature of this work. Counting, recording, rolling the scroll with the left hand, unrolling fresh paper with the right. The scroll is long, perhaps 20 feet, a river of paper flowing across his lap, capturing the economic life of the kingdom. He is moving through time, inch by inch, filling the blank emptiness with order, transforming the day into a permanent record. Let us drift deeper into the administration, moving from the cool temple to the vast warehouses of the state, the granaries. These were huge mud brick silos, dome-shaped like beehives, with a hole in the top for pouring in the grain and a sliding door at the bottom. The scribe stands at the door, holding his pallet, watching the workers carry the heavy sacks up the ramp to the top of the silo. He makes a mark for every sack. 1, 2, 3. A repetitive rhythmic tally that creates a sense of accumulating wealth. The dust of the grain fills the air, a golden haze that catches the sunlight and smells of dry straw, yeast, and summer heat. The dust settles on his skin, on his white linen kilt, on his shaved head, covering him in a fine, golden powder. He does not rush. The line of porters is endless, a human conveyor belt moving the wealth of the land into the safety of the silo. He breathes in the scent of the harvest. It is a dry, sweet smell, the smell of survival and security for the coming year. He is the scribe of the granary, a title of respect and responsibility, for he holds the keys to the city's survival. He knows exactly how much food is stored. He knows exactly how long the city can survive if the harvest fails or the river is low. He is the brain of the city, the memory of the state, the one who knows what lies behind the sealed doors of the treasury. Let us leave the dusty granary and return to the quiet of the house of life, the library of the temple, where the air is cool again. Here, the scrolls are stored in tall ceramic jars or wooden cubbyholes, labeled with small tags made of bone or wood. The air smells of cedar oil, which was rubbed on the papyrus to keep the worms and insects away from the precious words. It is a sharp, clean, resinous smell that clears the mind and acts as a preservative for the history stored within. There are medical texts here, listing cures for headaches, broken bones, and crocodile bites, written in careful columns. There are mathematical texts, calculating the angle of a pyramid slope or the area of a field after the floodwaters recede. There are astronomical texts, tracking the movement of the stars, the imperishable ones that never set below the horizon. The scribe studies these texts. He is a lifelong student, always learning the secrets of Thoth, always refining his craft. He practices his handwriting, moving from the elaborate hieroglyphs used for stone inscriptions to the flowing hieratic script. Hieratic is the cursive version of Egyptian writing, a simplified shorthand designed for speed, ink, and administrative efficiency. Instead of drawing a full bird with feathers, he draws a quick, sweeping line. Instead of a full beetle, a few dashes. Watch his hand move. It is fluid, practiced, and automatic, dancing across the page without hesitation. He does not have to think about the shapes. His hand knows the way, like water flowing down a pre-cut channel. Dip, right. Dip, right. The rhythm creates a trance state, a focus so deep that the rest of the world disappears. There is no hunger, no thirst, no heat. There is only the ink, the reed, and the word appearing on the page. Let us think about the silence of the Egyptian bureaucrat, a man trained from childhood to listen rather than speak. He was trained to be silent. The ancient instruction texts say, "Be silent, so that you may learn," and the silent man is the shrine of the god. Do not talk too much, for words are like the wind. Deeds are like the stone, was the wisdom passed down from father to son. He sits for hours without speaking, communicating only through the tip of his reed brush and the black ink. This silence is heavy. It is a weight that holds him down, keeping him grounded, calm, and observant of the world. Can you feel that silence settling on you now? The silence of the stone library, protecting you from the noise outside. The silence of the closed scroll, holding its secrets. The silence of the dust settling on the floor. It is a protective silence, wrapping around you like a linen shroud, keeping the noise and chaos of the modern world at bay. You are safe in the house of life, surrounded by the wisdom of the ages, stored in jars, waiting for you. Let us visualize the dust, Egypt is a land of dust and sand. It is everywhere, a fine, soft powder. Imagine the dust motes floating in the shaft of light coming from the high, clerestory window. They drift slowly, swirling in the stillness, caught in the thermal currents of the room. They turn golden in the light, flashing for a second, then disappear into the cool shadow of the corner. Watch one single dust mote. It floats up, ... It floats down. It hovers in the air, suspended by the silence. It is in no hurry to land. It has been floating there for thousands of years, witnessing the history of the temple. Let your thoughts be like that dust mote, floating, drifting, weightless, catching the light for a moment, then fading back into the quiet dark, asking for nothing. There is no urgency to land. There is no gravity pulling on your mind. You are weightless in the quiet air. Now, let us look at the statue in the corner of the room, watching over the scribes. It is a statue of Thoth, the god of scribes and wisdom. He is depicted as a baboon. He sits squat on a square pedestal, his heavy hands resting on his knees, his fur carved from stone. It is carved from heavy green basalt stone, smooth and cool to the touch, polished until it gleams in the shadows. The baboon is heavy, he is solid, he is immovable. He represents the weight of knowledge. He watches the scribes with eternal patience, his stone eyes unblinking, his posture relaxed but alert. Imagine becoming the statue. Feel your legs turning to heavy stone, crossed and solid beneath you. Feel your back straightening, supported by a pillar of basalt, holding you upright without effort. Feel your hands resting on your knees, heavy and still, turning into polished green stone. You are not flesh and blood anymore. You are stone. You are cool. You are dense. You are timeless. The worries of the day bounce off you. They cannot scratch the hard stone surface. You have sat here for 3,000 years, and you will sit here for 3,000 more, just watching, just being. Let us return to the desk of the scribe. His work is finished for the day. The light is fading. He cleans his brush. He dips it in the water pot and swirls it around until the ink is gone. The water turns grey, then black, swallowing the pigment, dissolving the words into a dark cloud. He wipes the palette clean with a linen rag, polishing the wood until it shines. He rolls up the scroll he has been working on. Crinkle, roll. Crinkle, roll. He ties it with a piece of linen string, securing the day's work with a simple knot. He places it in a wooden box to protect it from the mice and the dust. He closes the lid. Thunk. The day is documented. The grain is counted. The order is preserved. Matt is satisfied. He stands up. His knees crack softly after hours of sitting in the same position. He walks out of the house of life, leaving the smell of cedar and ink behind him. He steps into the courtyard of the temple. It is evening now. The sun has dipped below the western wall. The stone columns cast long, parallel shadows across the sand floor, turning the temple into a zebra-striped pattern of light and dark. He walks through the shadows, feeling the heat radiating from the stones that have baked all day. He passes the priests preparing for the evening ritual, washing themselves in the sacred lake. He smells the roasting meat of the offerings being prepared for the god's evening meal. He hears the chanting beginning in the inner sanctuary, low, rhythmic, deep. But his work is done. He does not need to stay for the ritual. He walks out of the grand pylon gates, past the flags snapping in the wind, and toward his home in the village. The air is cooling down rapidly. The desert drops its heat as soon as the sun goes down. He wraps his linen cloak around his shoulders to ward off the chill of the coming night. He walks along the raised causeway that connects the temple to the river. To his left is the river, flowing silently in the dark, a black ribbon reflecting the stars. To his right are the fields, sleeping under the mud, waiting for the dawn. He is part of the machinery of peace. Because he counted, the people will eat. Because he wrote, the laws are known. Because he sat still, the kingdom moves forward. There is a deep satisfaction in being a cog in such a giant, slow-moving machine. You don't have to be the Pharaoh. You don't have to be the general leading the army. You just have to be the scribe. You just have to count. You just have to be present. Let us try a counting exercise to deepen your relaxation, mimicking the work of the scribe. Imagine you are standing at the granary door, counting sacks of grain as they pass. Visualize a sack of burlap, heavy and full of golden wheat, resting on a man's shoulder. See the porter carrying it past you, his head bowed under the weight. 1 sack. Watch him walk away into the shadows of the silo. See the next porter approaching out of the dust. 2 sacks. He walks slowly, burdened by the weight, placing one foot carefully in front of the other. 3 sacks. The dust rises from his feet, swirling in the golden light. 4 sacks. The rhythm is slow and steady, a hypnotizing procession of labor. 5 sacks. There is no end to the line of porters. They stretch back to the horizon. You don't have to hurry them. They will come when they come. 6 sacks. 7 sacks. Let the numbers dissolve into the rhythm of the walking. You don't even need to say the number anymore. Just nod your head. Nod, nod, nod. Everything is accounted for. Everything is listed. Everything is safe. The granary is full. Let us think about the water pot on the scribe's pallet, the vessel of transformation. It sits there, a small ceramic cup filled with clear river water, waiting for the brush. Look at the surface of the water. It is perfectly still, a tiny mirror. It reflects the stone column above it. It reflects the calm face of the scribe. Wait for a drop of ink to fall into it from the brush. Drip. Watch the black ink swirl in the clear water. It blooms like a dark flower opening its petals. It spreads slowly, ribbons of black turning into grey smoke in the water. It moves without effort, expanding and dissolving. It dilutes, it fades. Imagine your thoughts are like that drop of ink, heavy and dark. Drop them into the water part of your mind. Watch them swirl. Watch them dissolve into the clear water. Watch them fade away until the water is clear again. Still, glassy, clear. Let your mind drift away from the numbers and the water. Drift back to the inkwell itself. Imagine the black cake of ink, a pool of dark, solid potential. It is like a small lake at midnight, frozen in time. Look into the blackness. It is deep. It is bottomless. It absorbs all light and all reflection. It absorbs all thought. If you drop a worry into that inkwell, it disappears instantly. Gone, swallowed by the black, held by the carbon. Let yourself sink into that ink. It is warm. It is thick. It is comforting. You are floating in the dark fluid of sleep. It covers you like a warm blanket. The redness of the ochre fades. The whiteness of the papyrus fades. There is only the black, quiet, still, perfect. Think about the linen cloth the scribe wears, the uniform of purity. It is woven from flax grown in the black mud of the riverbank. The fibers are beaten, spun into thread, and woven on a hand loom by the women of the village. It is bleached in the sun until it is pure, blinding white. It is soft, worn smooth by washing in the river every day. Imagine the feeling of clean, soft linen against your skin, cool and dry. It wraps you up. It holds you. The Egyptians wrapped everything precious in linen. They wrapped their gods. They wrapped their dead for the journey to the afterlife. They wrapped their scrolls to protect the knowledge. You are precious, so you are wrapped in linen. Layer after layer of soft, white cloth, protecting you, holding you together. You cannot fall apart. You are bound tight, safe for eternity, wrapped in the fabric of sleep. The night sky is fully dark now. The stars are out over the temple. Orion, whom they called Sar, the father of the gods, strides across the southern sky. The scribe is home. He enters his small mud brick house. He lies down on his bed. His head rests on a headrest, a curved piece of wood that supports the neck. It keeps the head cool. It protects the sleeper from the insects of the ground. He closes his eyes. The lists are done. The scrolls are rolled. The ink is dry. The world is in order. Matt prevails in the land. He sleeps the sleep of the just, and you can join him. You have done your work today. You have counted your own grain. You have written your own lists. You have organized your own world. Now you can put the pen down. You can close the box. You can walk away from the desk. The river will keep flowing without you watching it. The sun will rise without you helping it. The universe can handle itself for the next 8 hours. You are free to let go. Let go of the pen. Let go of the paper. Let go of the numbers. Let go of the words. There are no more words. Only the silence of the temple. Only the cool stone. Only the dark. Sleep now. Sleep with the scribes. Sleep with the wisdom. Sleep with the dust. Sleep. The unfinished obelisk and the silence of the quarry. We leave the cool, shadowed halls of the House of Life now, stepping out of the sanctuary and away from the scent of cedar oil and ink. We are traveling south, moving upriver against the heavy current of the Nile, journeying toward the very edge of the civilized world. We are going to the city of Aswan, the ancient gateway to Africa, where the river churns and boils through the granite rocks of the first cataract. The landscape changes here. The wide green fields of the delta and the valley fade away, replaced by golden sands and massive, rounded boulders that look like sleeping giants. It is hotter here. The sun beats down with a fierce, white intensity, baking the earth into a hard crust and turning the air into a shimmering haze. We are entering the quarry, the birthplace of the monuments, the place where the mountains are turned into gods and the bedrock is sliced into eternity. Imagine walking into a valley of pink granite, the walls rising high on either side, blocking out the wind and trapping the heat of the sun. The stone here is famous throughout the ancient world. It is syenite granite, a deep, rose-colored stone speckled with black hornblende and sparkling quartz crystals. It is the hardest stone in the kingdom, the material of eternity, chosen specifically for the obelisks that will pierce the sky and catch the first rays of the dawn. The ground beneath your feet is uneven, covered in chips of stone and drifts of sand that are blown in from the western desert. There is a smell here of hot dust, of flint, and of dry heat, a mineral scent that fills the nose and tastes slightly metallic on the tongue. Let us stand on the rim of the quarry and look down into the deep pit where the work of the empire is happening. There lies a sleeping giant, a massive shape cut directly into the bedrock, still attached to the mountain from which it was born, unable to move. It is the unfinished obelisk, the largest single piece of stone ever worked by human hands, a testament to ambition and the limits of engineering. If it had been finished, it would have stood 137 feet tall and weighed nearly 1,200 tons, a single needle of pink stone. It lies there now, frozen in time, a monument to the sudden silence of failure and the patience of the rock that refused to be moved. Let us climb down into the trench that surrounds the great stone, descending carefully into the long shadow cast by the obelisk itself. The trench is narrow, barely wide enough for 2 men to pass side by side. The walls of the obelisk rise up above you like the sides of a massive ship in dry dock. You can run your hand along the stone. It is rough to the touch, warm from the sun, and feels vibrant with a kind of stored potential energy. How did they cut this? How did they slice through the hardest rock on earth before the invention of iron ore hardened steel tools? They did not cut it with chisels. They did not saw it with blades. They pounded it into submission. This is the secret of the quarry, a secret of immense patience and rhythm that defines the soul of the Egyptian builder. Look at the ground around your feet. It is littered with round black stones, about the size of a grapefruit or a cannonball. These are dolerite pounders, rocks that are even harder than the granite itself, brought from the mountains of the eastern desert specifically for this task. The workers did not use sharp edges for the main shaping. They used these heavy balls of stone to crush the granite, grain by grain. Imagine the work. A man stands in the trench, his feet planted firmly in the dust, holding the heavy black stone in both hands. He lifts it up to waist height, feeling the density of the dolerite, and drops it onto the pink granite below. Thud. He lifts it again, using the muscles of his back and shoulders. Thud. He lifts it again, finding a rhythm that he can sustain for hours. Thud. He does not swing it wildly like a hammer. He lets gravity do the work, guiding the stone to pulverize the granite surface into dust. Millimeter by millimeter, the pink stone is turned into a fine powder, which is then swept away by water or wind to reveal the fresh surface underneath. It is a process of incredible slowness. A team of men working all day might lower the level of the rock by only a fraction of an inch. Listen to the sound of the quarry. It is not the sharp, high-pitched clink of metal on stone, but a dull, low-frequency rhythmic pounding. Thud-thud, thud-thud, thud-thud. It sounds like a heartbeat, a deep percussion that resonates through the floor of the valley. Hundreds of men are lined up in the trenches, pounding in unison, their movements synchronized to a chant called out by the overseer standing above. They enter a trance state. The rhythm takes over the body, the mind goes blank, and the passage of time becomes irrelevant. There is no past, there is no future. There is only the next lift, the next drop, and the next cloud of fine pink dust rising into the air. Imagine joining them in the line. Imagine the weight of the dolerite ball in your hands, heavy, smooth, and warm from the friction. Feel the vibration travel up your arms and into your shoulders as the stone strikes the bedrock, a physical connection to the earth. You are wearing away the mountain, not with force or rage, but with persistence, water wearing away a cliff over eons. The sun moves across the sky, changing the shadows in the trench from long to short and back to long again, but the rhythm does not change. Lift, drop, lift, drop. This is the ultimate boring history. It is the history of endurance, of doing the same thing millions of times. It is the history of believing that the impossible is achieved not by magic, but by small, steady, unglamorous actions repeated without ceasing. You don't have to build the whole obelisk today. You don't even have to finish a single inch. You just have to lift the stone once, and then once more, and then once more. The rest will take care of itself. Look closely at the surface of the unfinished obelisk walls. You can still see the scoop marks left by the pounders 3,000 years ago. They look like scallops in the rock, smooth, concave depressions where the workers stood and pounded for months on end. They are the fingerprints of the ancients, the physical memory of their labor frozen in the granite, waiting for us to run our hands over them. But then, one day, something happened in the trench. A sound was heard that was not the dull thud of the pounder. A sharp crack, like a whip breaking the silence of the afternoon. The master mason was inspecting the stone, pouring water over the surface to check for imperfections and wash away the dust. As the water cleared, he saw it. A dark, jagged line running through the perfect pink granite. A flaw hidden deep within the crystal structure. The stress of the quarrying, the release of pressure from the surrounding rock, had caused the tension in the stone to snap. Imagine the moment the pounding stopped. The overseer sees the signal. He raises his hand. The chant dies away on his lips. One by one, down the line, the men stop lifting their stones. They wipe the sweat from their brows. They look at the crack. The sound of the thud-thud fades into total silence. The dust settles slowly back onto the rock. The silence returns to the quarry, heavier and more profound than before. The heartbeat of the work has stopped. Months of work, thousands of manas, all wasted in a single second. The obelisk can never be raised. It will never stand in the temple of Karnak. But the Egyptians did not despair. They did not scream or destroy the site. They simply packed up their tools. They moved to the next patch of rock. They understood that the stone is the master. You cannot force it. You can only work with it. They left the obelisk there, attached to the bedrock, as a lesson in humility, a reminder that even the Pharaoh cannot command the geology of the earth. Walk away from the trench now. Climb back up the rough steps to the rim of the quarry, leaving the sleeping giant behind. The sun is beginning to set, turning the pink granite cliffs into a deep, burning red, like the embers of a dying fire. The heat of the day is radiating up from the ground, creating shimmering waves in the air that blur the horizon. Walk toward the river. You can see the Nile flowing past the quarry entrance, cool, blue, and indifferent to the struggles of the stone. There is a harbor here, a man-made bay built specifically for the transport of the stone giants. Huge barges are waiting, tied to the stone quay with thick ropes made of twisted palm fiber that creaked as the boat shifts. These barges are massive, built from imported cedar wood from Lebanon, designed to carry hundreds of tons of stone without sinking. They are waiting for the flood. This is the genius of the Egyptian transport system. They do not fight gravity, they use nature. They do not lift the stones onto the boats with cranes. They drag the stone to the harbor when the river is low, placing it on a mudsled. They build the barge around the stone, or they maneuver the barge under the stone during the low season. Then they wait. They wait for the season of Akit. They wait for the waters to rise in July. When the inundation arrives, the water level creeps up the bank higher and higher, entering the harbor and surrounding the barge. It gently lifts the barge off the mud, taking the weight of the stone onto the water inch by inch. The river does the heavy lifting. The water shoulders the burden that 10,000 men could not move. Imagine the barge floating free, The ropes creak and groan as the wood takes the strain of the massive granite block. Creak, groan, splash. The barge settles into the water, deep and stable. The massive block of granite is now weightless, suspended on the surface of the water, held up by the physics of buoyancy. It begins its journey downstream, carried by the current, drifting north, toward the temples of Thebes or Memphis. Let us drift with it, step off the quay and board the barge. Lie down on the deck, next to a block of rough-hewn granite that has been successfully quarried and loaded. The stone is still warm from the day's sun. It radiates a gentle, steady heat against your back, like a large, warm animal. It feels solid, it feels permanent. Nothing can move you. You are anchored by the weight of the mountain. The current catches the barge. You move slowly away from Aswan, leaving the noise of the cataract behind you. The river widens here. It becomes smooth and glassy in the twilight, a perfect mirror for the darkening sky. You are moving at the speed of the water. There is no engine, no sail, just the inexorable flow of the river heading to the sea. Close your eyes and feel the movement. It is a sliding sensation, smooth, frictionless, inevitable. You are passing the island of Elephantine, with its grey rounded rocks looking like a herd of elephants bathing in the water. You are passing the dunes of the western desert, glowing gold in the last light, rolling away into the infinity of the Sahara. The only sound is the water rushing around the heavy hull of the barge, cutting through the surface. Rush, gurgle. Rush. It is a white noise, a constant background hum that washes away thoughts. Let us think about the patience of stone. Granite does not hurry. It was formed deep underground, millions of years ago, cooling slowly from molten magma in the dark, crushing depths of the crust. It waited in the dark for eons. It waited for the erosion to expose it. It waited for the quarrymen to find it. It waited for the pounders to shape it. Now it waits on the barge. It is in no rush to become a statue or a pillar. It is content to just be stone, drifting on the water. Can you find that quality in yourself? The quality of granite, heavy, still, dense. Let your body become heavy like the stone. Feel your weight sinking into the bed. Feel your legs turning into solid pink granite, heavy on the mattress, unmovable and relaxed. Feel your arms turning into stone, resting by your sides, immovable, letting go of the need to do anything. Feel your chest turning into stone, rising and falling slowly with the breath of the ages, solid and calm. You are a monument. You are built to last forever. You are stable in a moving world. The worries of the day are like dust blowing against the side of a pyramid. They cannot scratch you. They just blow away in the wind, leaving the stone untouched and unchanged. The barge drifts on. The sky turns from purple to black. The stars appear, reflecting in the polished surface of the river, dancing in the wake of the boat. You are floating through a tunnel of stars. Stars above, stars below, suspended in the cosmos. The air is cool now. The heat of the stone is the only warmth, a stored battery of sunlight keeping you comfortable in the night air. Listen to the sounds of the river at night. Far away, a fisherman splashes his net into the water. Splash. A crane calls from the reeds. A lonely, prehistoric sound. Crawl. The wind sighs through the rigging of the barge, vibrating the ropes. Whoosh. These sounds are distant. They do not disturb you. They only emphasize the vast silence of the river valley. Let us visualize the unfinished obelisk again, back in the quarry at Aswan. It is alone now, in the dark. The workers have gone home to their mud brick houses. the tools are packed away. It lies in its bed of rock, embracing the earth, covered in the silence of the desert night. It is sleeping. It has slept there for 3,000 years, undisturbed by the changing empires. It is the ultimate sleeper. It has nowhere to go. It has nothing to do. It is perfectly at peace with its unfinished state. It does not struggle to be free. It teaches us that it is okay to be unfinished. You don't have to finish everything today. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be complete. You can just lie there. You can just exist. There is dignity in rest. There is dignity in stopping. There is dignity in saying that is enough for today. Let that feeling of acceptance wash over you. Accept the unfinished business of the day. Leave it in the quarry. Leave it in the rock. It will be there tomorrow, or it won't. You are on the river now. You are moving away from the work, drifting north, toward the sea of sleep, carried by a force greater than yourself. Let us count the strokes of the current against the hull. Imagine the water pushing the barge. Push, glide. Push, glide. The water takes the weight. Push, glide. It is a slow, hypnotic cadence. You don't have to steer. The river knows the way to the ocean. The river has flowed this way for millions of years. It knows every bend and every sandbank. Trust the river. Trust the sleep. Let go of the tiller. Think about the sand, the desert that surrounds the river valley on both sides. Infinite grains of sand, trillions of tiny particles of quartz. During the day, they are hot and blowing, shifting and stinging. But at night, the desert is still. The wind dies down completely. The sand dunes settle. They become frozen waves of gold under the starlight. Imagine lying on a sand dune. The sand molds to the shape of your body. It supports every curve, shifting slightly to accommodate your weight. It is soft, yet firm. It is warm from the day, radiating a gentle heat into your muscles. You are cradled by the earth. There is nothing around you but silence and stars. No cities, no noise, no lights, no expectations. Just the vast, empty, peaceful desert stretching out in all directions. Let your mind expand to fill that empty space. Clear out the clutter of the day. Make room for the silence. Let the silence fill your head like cool water filling a jug. The barge is heavy. You are heavy. The stone is heavy. The eyelids are heavy. They want to close. They are pulled down by gravity. Let them close. Let them be like the heavy stone doors of a temple sanctuary, shutting out the light, shutting out the world, sealing the inner chamber. Inside, it is cool and dark. The sanctuary of the mind. You are safe here. The gods are watching over you. Baze, the dwarf god of sleep and protection, is standing guard at the foot of the bed. He scares away the bad dreams. He brings the good dreams. The barge is slowing down. It is entering a quiet backwater, a resting place for the night. The current is gentle here. The boat spins slowly in the water, round and round, like a leaf caught in an eddy. It is a soothing, spinning sensation, a gentle dizziness that leads to sleep. You are spiralizing down into sleep, deeper and deeper. The stone is cooling. The water is still. The night is long. You have all the time in the world. The river will wait. Sleep now. Sleep like the granite. Sleep like the obelisk. sleep like the river, sleep, the Pharaoh's palace, and the final drift. We leave the fierce, baking heat of the granite quarry behind us now, stepping off the rough wooden deck of the stone barge and onto a private quay. This dock is paved with smooth, white limestone blocks that have been polished with sand until they gleam softly in the late afternoon sun, cooling the air before we even step ashore. We are traveling north, downriver, to the great capital city of Thebes, known to the ancients as Waysat, or perhaps further north to the sun city of Amarna. We are entering the secluded, silent, and forbidden domain of the Pharaoh, a world removed from the common struggle of the riverbank. This is a world removed from the mud of the fields and the golden dust of the granaries, a world constructed entirely of coolness, shadow, and exquisite luxury. We walk up a long, straight pathway lined with sphinx. Their stone bodies of lions and heads of rams, watching the river with eternal vigilance. They lead us toward the high, whitewashed walls of the royal palace, a fortress of privacy that shines like a pearl against the desert cliffs. The air changes instantly as we pass through the great cedar gates. It becomes cooler, sweeter, and filled with the scent of flowers that do not grow in the wild desert. We are entering the royal gardens, a masterpiece of geometry and order where nature has been tamed into perfect, rectangular symmetry to please the eye. Imagine walking along a path paved with painted mud bricks, flanked on either side by rows of ancient sycamore fig trees that provide a deep, dappled shade against the sun. These trees are not wild. They are planted in pits filled with good Nile soil, watered daily by gardeners who carry yokes of water jars on their shoulders. In the center of the garden lies a massive rectangular pool, filled with water pumped from the Nile and filtered through linen until it is clear and still as glass. Blue lotus flowers float on the surface, their petals wide open to the sky, revealing their golden centers to the sun god Ra. Exotic ducks from the delta swim silently among the leaves, their feathers iridescent green and blue, safe here from any hunter or predator. Listen to the sound of the garden. It is not the roar of the wind, but the gentle, musical trickle of water flowing through small, stone-lined irrigation channels. It is an engineered silence, a place where the chaos of the natural world has been walled out, leaving only the sound of water and the rustle of leaves. We approach the palace itself, a sprawling structure not made of stone like a tomb, but of mud brick, the material of the living. But this is not common mud. It is plastered with fine gypsum and painted in vibrant, joyful colors: blues, turquoises, and terracottas that mimic the sky and the earth. The floors are not bare earth. They are covered in painted plaster depicting a marsh with tilapia fish and waterfowl swimming under your feet. Walking through the hall feels like walking on water. You are suspended above the aquatic world, surrounded by the art of life, unconnected to the dust outside. The columns are made of wood, painted red and gold, and shaped like bundles of papyrus reeds bound together, bringing the beauty of the river inside the house. Let us sit in the throne room, not to rule or to judge, but simply to observe the quality of the light and the stillness of the air in this vast space. The ceiling is high, painted deep blue with golden stars, creating an artificial night sky that hangs over the Pharaoh even during the brightness of the day. The windows are small and placed high up near the ceiling, allowing the hot air to escape and drawing the cool air in from the garden pools through low vents. It is a natural air conditioning system, designed by architects who understood the movement of air as well as the movement of stone, keeping the room 20 degrees cooler than the outside. In this room, we find the ultimate boring job of the ancient world, a role so repetitive and rhythmic that it induces a trance state just by watching it. The fan bearer on the right of the king. He stands behind the pharaoh's chair, holding a long, gold-plated pole topped with a spray of magnificent ostrich feathers. The feathers are large, soft, and black and white. They are harvested from the deep desert and are prized for their ability to move the air without creating a sharp draft. Watch the fan bearer at work. He moves the fan in a slow, sweeping arc, back and forth, with the regularity of a pendulum. Swish, 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 swish. The sound is barely audible, just a soft whisper of air being pushed, a gentle breeze that cools the skin without disturbing the silence of the cord. He does not stop. He does not speed up. He maintains the rhythm of the fan for hours, his muscles trained to perform this single, soothing motion. Imagine being the fan bearer. Your mind empties of all thought, focused entirely on the arc of the feathers and the movement of the air. You are a human machine of comfort, a creator of wind in a still room, standing perfectly balanced on the painted floor, invisible yet essential. The rhythm of the fan regulates the breathing of everyone in the room. Everyone slows down to match the slow, hypnotic sway of the ostrich plumes. Let that rhythm settle into your own breathing now. Imagine a cool breeze brushing across your face with every slow sweep of the fan. Left, right, left, right. The shadows in the room lengthen as the afternoon wears on, turning the painted marsh on the floor into a deep, mysterious pool of blue and green. The sun is dipping below the western horizon, the realm of the dead, turning the sky into a palette of violet, gold, and blood orange. It signals the end of the official day, the end of audiences, the end of ruling. It is time for the human body to rest. We leave the throne room and move deeper into the private quarters, the cap where the pharaoh and his family retreat for the night. We enter the bedchamber. It is a smaller room, intimate and safe, illuminated by the soft glow of alabaster oil lamps that cast a milky, diffuse light. The air here is heavy with scent, for the Egyptians were masters of perfume, believing that pleasant smells were the breath of the gods and the enemy of disease. The scent is kifi, the famous Egyptian temple incense, a complex blend of 16 ingredients that takes weeks to prepare. It contains frankincense, myrrh, honey, wine, raisins, juniper berries, pine resin, and sweet rush, all ground together and burned on charcoal. It is a warm, spicy, sweet smell that calms the nervous system, clears the lungs, and prepares the mind for the journey into the dream world. Imagine the scent filling the room, a thick, luxurious fog of fragrance that relaxes your muscles the moment you breathe it in. The furniture in the room is elegant and low. There are chests of ebony inlaid with ivory and blue faience, holding linen tunics and gold jewelry. There is a cosmetic table, cluttered with small jars made of glass and carved stone, holding the unguents and oils used to protect the skin. Let us watch the nightly ritual of cleansing, a slow and deliberate process of removing the day's dust, makeup, and symbols of power. A servant pours water from a gold ewer into a gold basin. The sound of the water is bright and musical in the quiet room. Splash, ... trickle. The pharaoh washes his face, removing the kohl from around his eyes, the black galena powder that protected him from the glare of the sun and the evil eye. He washes his hands with a paste of natron and scented oil, scrubbing away the ink of the documents and the dust of the chariot ride. He removes the heavy gold collars from his neck, the bracelets from his wrists, the rings from his fingers. Shedding the weight of the monarchy, He removes the wig, placing it on a wooden stand, allowing the cool air to reach his shaved scalp. He is patted dry with a linen towel, warm and soft, leaving the skin clean, breathing, and ready for the night. Then comes the massage. Oils infused with lily and lotus are rubbed into the feet and the shoulders, working out the tension of ruling an empire. Feel the sensation of warm oil being massaged into your own skin, loosening the tight muscles of the neck and the back. The body becomes heavy. The limbs feel loose and fluid, like the water of the Nile slowing down as it reaches the sea. Now, look at the bed. It is not a soft, sinking mattress like ours, but a piece of sophisticated engineering designed for a hot climate. It is a wooden frame, gilded with gold leaf, standing high off the ground on legs carved to look like the paws of a lion. The joinery is perfect. Mortise and tenon joints held together with leather thongs, designed to flex slightly with the sleeper's weight. The mattress is a lattice of woven cords, pulled tight to provide a firm, sprung surface that allows the air to circulate underneath the sleeper. On top of the cords are thick cushions stuffed with wool and waterfowl feathers, covered in the finest, sheerest linen sheets woven in the temple workshops. The pharaoh lies down. The bed supports him firmly, the lion legs guarding him against the spirits of the underworld. He does not use a soft pillow that heats the head. He uses a headrest, a curved piece of polished cedar or ivory on a stand. He places his neck on the curve. It lifts his head, aligning the spine and allowing the cool air to flow around his neck and scalp. It feels surprisingly comfortable, a solid support that signals to the body that the day is over and the time for vigilance has passed. He closes his eyes. The alabaster lamps are extinguished one by one, until the room is lit only by the moonlight filtering through the high window. The palace is silent. The fan-bearer has gone. The musicians have packed away their harps. The cooks have banked the fires in the kitchen. There is only the silence of the desert night, a vast, heavy silence that presses against the walls of the palace, keeping the world out. Let us join the Pharaoh in this sleep. Let us drift away from the palace and back onto the river for one final journey north. We are leaving the body behind now. We are becoming pure consciousness, drifting with the current of the Nile toward the sea. Imagine you are back on the water, drifting past the great temple complex of Karnak, the largest religious building ever constructed. In the moonlight, the forest of stone columns looks like a grove of giant, petrified trees, their lotus capitals supporting the sky. The temple is dark and silent. The priests are sleeping. The gods are resting in their shrines behind the gold doors. You drift past the temple of Luxor, connected to Karnak by a long avenue of sphinx that stretches for miles in the dark. You drift past the Valley of the Kings on the west bank, the silent necropolis where the ancestors lie in their rock-cut tombs. They are safe there, hidden in the cliffs, surrounded by treasures, sleeping the eternal sleep that you are approaching now. You drift north, past the Middle Kingdom pyramids of Lahan and Lisht, crumbling mud-brick mountains that are slowly melting back into the earth. You drift past the great pyramids of Giza as they stand silent and silver in the moonlight, guarding the northern approach to the desert. They are geometric mountains, perfect triangles of limestone that have stood for eternity, watching the river flow without blinking. They do not change, they do not move. They simply exist, anchoring the world with their massive weight and perfect geometry. Feel the stability of the pyramids. Let their weight hold you down in your bed, keeping you safe and grounded against the earth. You are drifting past the Sphinx. It crouches in the sand, its human eyes watching the eastern horizon, waiting for a dawn that is still hours away. It is the guardian of the horizon, the keeper of the secrets of yesterday and tomorrow, watching over your sleep. You drift past the city of Memphis, the old capital, now quiet and white in the night, its walls reflecting the moon. You enter the delta, where the river splits into 7 branches, spreading out like the fingers of a hand reaching for the sea. The water slows down here. The current becomes gentle and lazy as it widens and prepares to meet the Mediterranean. The papyrus reeds are thick here, a jungle of green silence that muffles the sound of the world and hides the boat. You are floating through a tunnel of green and blue, suspended in the water, weightless and free. Let us perform the final shutdown of the Egyptian world, turning off the lights of history so that you can rest. Imagine you are standing on the high dam at Aswan, looking north over the entire country of Egypt, seeing it as a map. You see the thin ribbon of the Nile glowing in the moonlight, surrounded by the vast darkness of the desert. It is time to turn off the river. Imagine a great sluice gate slowly lowering into the water at the source, cutting off the flow, stilling the current for the night. The water slows, ... and slows, ... and stops. The river becomes a long, still mirror, reflecting the stars without a ripple. Turn off the noise of the shadoofs. The creaking wood stops. The splashing water stops. Silence falls over the fields. Turn off the activity of the temples. The chanting stops. The incense smoke dissipates. The torches flicker out one by one. Turn off the scribes. The pens are put down. The scrolls are rolled. The lamps are blown out in the house of life. Turn off the quarries. The pounding stops. The dust settles. The granite cools in the night air. Turn off the light of the Pharaoh's lighthouse in Alexandria. The great fire at the top dies down to embers, then to ash. The Mediterranean Sea is dark. The Red Sea is dark. The desert is dark. The map is silent. There is no more movement in the entire kingdom. From the south to the north, the land is asleep. Now, bring that silence into your own room, into your own body. You are no longer in Egypt. You are in your own bed, in your own time, far away from the desert. But you have the heaviness of the pyramid stone in your limbs, holding you down. You have the warmth of the desert sun in your bones, keeping you comfortable. You have the slow, rhythmic flow of the Nile in your blood, regulating your heartbeat. Feel the linen sheets against your skin, cool and dry, wrapping you in the luxury of the palace. Feel the support of the mattress, holding you up like the royal barge on the calm water. Let your breathing become the rise and fall of the inundation, the breath of the river. Inhale. The water rises, filling the valley with life and peace. Exhale. The water recedes, leaving behind the rich, dark silence of sleep. In ... slowly rising, filling the space with calm. Out ... slowly falling, letting go of the debris of the day. The cycle continues without any effort from you. It is automatic, ancient, and reliable. Let your mind float on this water. There are no obstacles, no rapids, no cataracts to navigate. Just a smooth, wide river flowing toward the ocean of deep sleep, carrying you gently. You are passing through the gates of the night, just as the sun god does in his boat. First gate, letting go of the day. The gate closes behind you. Second gate, ... letting go of the noise. The silence surrounds you. Third gate, ... letting go of the thoughts. The mind becomes still water. You are drifting deeper and deeper into the duat, the realm of rest and regeneration. It is not a scary place. It is a place of healing, where the body is renewed for the next rising. The stars above you are the imperishable ones, the stars that never set, watching over you from the north sky. They are steady, they are distant, they are calm. Be like the star, burning quietly in the dark. Be like the stone, heavy and unmoving in the sand. Be like the water, fluid and accepting of the flow. You are safe in the valley of sleep. The boat has stopped moving. It has reached its destination. It is anchored in the harbor of dreams. The water laps gently against the hull. The rope is tied. The knot is secure. You are not drifting away. You can stop rowing. You can put down the oar. You can stop steering. The current has ceased. You can just lie back on the cushions and sleep. Sleep with the pharaohs in their quiet tombs. Sleep with the river as it rests in the sea. Sleep with the silence of the sand. Sleep